Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Getting With the Program, talking about episode 11 of My Hero Academia, Game Over. User wins.
That's not part of the title.
I know it's not part of the title, but I like reboot. Shut up. I am, of course, your ever-friendly Pokeprof, joined once again by Kitty Kross.
Ribbit.
And Ashen Sky.
Hero.
I
was just doing a Froppy imitation.
So was he. He was doing the Japanese Froppy, because that's what freaking Ribbit is in Japan. It's Kiro. Anyway, so this episode, basically less fighting love. It's just a lot of more fighting, though we do get a bunch of little character moments here and there.
Fighting love.
Well, am I wrong?
Yes. Because this isn't fun with weapons.
True.
Oh, it's fun with Froppy.
Yeah, but we get to see a lot of just really interesting bits with the characters, and it is a lot of fighting, but it's almost all to the development of the characters. We get to get a little bit with Bakugo and Mr. Redhead, as I call him, because I don't think we've properly heard his name yet.
We have.
Oh, what was his name then? I forget.
Kirishima,
thank you. So we get Kirishima and Bakugo, and they're fighting off, and it shows the fact that, they're both really offensive heroes with their quirks, on top of the fact that they're able to figure out, oh yeah, no, we're at fault. It's our fault that we got separated in the first place because we jumped in first. Or at least Kirishima is like that. And Bakugo is like, yeah, who cares? I'm going to go after the freaking warping guy anyway because he's the real problem.
Oh, yeah, because he's Lord of Death Explosion Murder.
Mm-hmm. So that said, I love the fact that even for as hot-headed and as just jumping the gunny Bakugo is...
Jumping the gunny?
Jumping the gunny, yes. For as much as he's like that, Bakugo isn't an idiot. He figured out, it's like, yeah, no, it's like, this is the guy we need to worry about. This is the guy we need to take care of. Most of our classmates are able to be fine. They'll take care of themselves. They're not weaklings. Which, it feels good for our Vegeta character to say, yeah, no, they're not weaklings. They can take care of themselves and actually mean it. Because when Vegeta says, it's like, oh, they can take care of themselves. It doesn't really matter. It's like, he's like, and Vegeta, he wouldn't care if, most of the Z fighters live or die throughout most of the series. I don't know about Super.
I mean, to be fair, that's mostly because they can just wish him back. Oh, Death really has no consequence in Dragon Ball.
Okay, you've got a point there. You've got a point. Dragon Ball is a bad example in this case, but I like the fact that Bakugo is like, hey, they're not weak. Yeah, we can worry about them, but for the most part, they should be fine. They're here to be heroes. They should be able to take care of themselves. But then we actually got what me and Kitty were wanting from the last episode. We got to see more of the other characters and get to see more of their abilities. In particular, the ones they actually did the whole close-up and did the little special drawing of their face for. We got to see Momo. We got to see... I'm trying to remember all their names. We got to see... Tamosi, or I want to say something like that. Tamaki, thank you. And then we got to see, because Momo's the girl who has Create. Tamaki was.
I forget the other gal's name, but she's got the earphone jack thing.
Yeah. And then Tamaki is Mr. Lightning Bug, as I like to call him. But we got to see all their powers. We got to see interesting what they can do and what their limitations are.
I wouldn't call him Lightning Bug. I call him a Bug Zapper.
But yeah, Bug Zapper works too. But with his power, it's like he can go and project electricity. So he's literally Pikachu. He's a Pokemon. But his problem is he doesn't have all that much fine control over it. It just spreads out everywhere. And it takes Earjack Girl to literally pushing him into one of the villains to say, hey, you could just touch them and you'll be fine.
You're my human stun gun.
Pretty much. We get to see her power, which is not only can she hear things super easily because of her ear jacks. She literally can go and connect them to like these little speakers in her legs. I'm not sure if those are actually like her quirk or if those are part of her suit. But what
it was stated that basically she's transmitting her own heartbeat into supersonic sound.
Yeah. Which that is a really interesting way of using a power that I would otherwise think would not be all that useful. It's like, what use would having like little like headphone jacks for your ears make you into a superhero? And then they go and turn around. It's like, oh yeah, no, she could go and attach them to speakers and they emit these like almost Black Canary sonic blasts. That is really interesting. I love that use of her power, which makes me all the more sad that I can't remember her name correctly.
Oh, you'll get to see more of her. Don't worry about that.
Well, you've said already we get to see more of everyone. But then we get to see Momo's.
More of Todoroki.
Yeah.
Good old Icy Hot.
As you called him, Batman.
Yeah, no. I literally said the way he treats the villains in his area, it's like, I realize he's not Piccolo. He's Batman. He's literally like... It's like, you are literally going to start dying, and I prefer to be a hero. So you're going to tell me everything you want to know, or I'm going to leave you like this. So, and we already see the fact that he's very intelligent. He is like, he figured out, it's like, the only reason they would be here is if they wanted to do something. They said they wanted to kill All Might, which means they have to have a way to do it. So they're going to tell me, what way are you going to kill All Might so I can stop it? Like I said, he's got that, been quiet so far because he hasn't been the focus. So we've been calling him Piccolo. But in terms of the way he's acting as a hero so far, he's definitely Batman. Mm-hmm. But then I would want to go back to the other three that we got to really focus on and talk about Momo, where we finally get to find out her power, and it's the power of creation. To where
now, this is something I found very interesting, and it makes a lot of sense. When we first got introduced to her was when they were having the team off thing of the being villains or heroes. And she was stating all these observations from what she saw in the fight between Bakugo and Deku. Mm-hmm. And now taking into account the way that she explained things, the way that she observed things, and the fact that she's able to create things, but it states that she has to know their
molecular structure,
their complete molecular makeup to be able to effectively create what she needs. And you have to be super intelligent to know that sort of thing and recall it that quickly. Mm-hmm. So she's like super, super smart.
Mm-hmm. And and it also makes sense of why she's dressed the way she is. It's like being able to just pull that out of your skin. You need a lot of skin to be able to produce some of the big things, to where we even see in the episode, she sacrifices her costume to produce something big enough, like a big enough insulating blanket to cover her and Earjack Girl. So they're protected from
Mr. Bugzapper.
Yeah, Mr. Bugzapper. It's like, we'll learn the names as they're introduced more often. Yes. I'm sorry. That's the problem with a lot of Japanese names, and we're American people.
But of course, it being Japanese, I can't speak. Being Japanese, we have to have the person with the least amount of clothes being the most busty.
Mm-hmm. Especially considering we did get a little bit of cheesecake, to where literally smoke was covering her assets at one point, and then the thin wire of the Earjack Girl's literal earjack covering the actual.
It was the bare minimum of censorship.
Yeah. Which, to be fair, I was a little surprised. I didn't think my hero was going to go for the...
It doesn't often do that, but I think this is one of the few times it actually does.
Hey, trust me, I'm used to a lot of other series that do it a lot worse.
Outside of the obligatory hot springs.
Oh, God.
I'm amazed that they get away with this sort of thing and still say it's viewable for kids, because my nephew watches this show.
Well, he'll get introduced to it early, I guess. But when it comes down to it, though, like I said, I've seen a lot worse from anime. It's like one of my favorite animes of all time is History's Strongest Disciple, Kenichi, and which does a lot of similar things in terms of like how it portrays martial arts, more so in the beginning of the show. Later, it gets more anime-ish, but that show is ecchi personified. Very much so. So, you know, it's like, I'm perfectly understanding that that's how just some shows do it. I'm just a little surprised. Like I said, I'm just a little surprised My Hero threw that at us, considering so far it's been very family friendly, for lack of a better term, so far. But
now let's get on to Mr. Hansy's abilities.
Yeah, where we have Momo with her creation, his seems to be basically almost like disintegration.
Entropy.
Yeah, entropy. That's actually
entropy.
A good way of describing it. I like that.
That's the perfect way to describe it. That's, you know, before he said it, I was going to say it. The fact that he's able to basically cause something to completely die and fall apart.
Yeah, to the point where we actually see Eraserhead's freaking muscles and whatnot, because the skin has died away.
Even he said he destroyed his elbow.
Yeah, it's kind of insane. But here's the thing that I think scares me the most about Mr. Hansy so far, is that from what we've seen, he's actually an evil Deku. And the reason I say that is because literally as he's starting to fight Eraserhead, he lists off all the different things that he knows. He was counting how the time between Eraserhead's actual ability of when it was going off and when it was erasing people's powers. He noted the tell when Eraserhead's power was activating because his hair was going up. That was a tell to say, hey, Eraserhead's power has activated, which we've seen since Eraserhead has been introduced. And then the thing that made me go, oh my God, he's an evil Deku, is the fact he's like, you are so cool. He literally,
and the fact that he's referring to the whole thing like playing a video game. Yeah,
to the point where he says, even at later on in the episode where it looks like they've lost, he said, "Game over. Start at the back of the title screen." And it's like, oh my God, this is. It's like, I don't think he's like truly an evil Deku. Sky would know, but he's not going to tell us.
Nope.
But that's the vibe I'm getting so far, is the fact that this is what happens when a fanboy turns evil. Is like he's able to use that same analytical powers that we've seen from Deku so far and turn it against the heroes, to where even he's able to do an advantage against some of the pros. And the fact that he has this big old monster named Nomu doesn't...
Nomo.
Nomo?
Nomu.
Nomu?
No, it's Nomu.
Okay, so I was right.
Okay, I could have sworn he said Nomo.
It's Nomu, honey. But so he has this big old monster named Nomu, who is clearly designed to be able to fight All Might, considering the fact that Deku goes and gives a punch which, by the way, doesn't break his arm. I'm not sure if it's because of Nomu.
For the first time.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's because he's learning to control his power, or it's because Nomu actually blocked it.
But I think it was sort of a matter of instinct, because he just kind of sprung into it. He wasn't overthinking the use of his power, then he just jumped right into it.
Yeah,
it was a desperation move.
Yeah,
pretty much. Well, considering the fact that he just saw Mr. Hansy literally destroy, Eraserhead's elbow, and the fact that he was going to grab frickin' Froppy of all people, it's like, no, I must save the pretty frog girl. I mean, he isn't thinking that. That's me just shipping the two together, but I'm sorry. Like I said, that was my introduction to this series, was those two being paired together. I know it's never going to happen because we got our little Miss Gravity girl that's clearly meant to be the one that gets together with Deku. But I'm sorry. I love Sue. She is a cute character. I love her design. Having a 20-meter long tongue doesn't hurt either.
Wow, honey.
Wow. Just gonna come right out with it, eh?
And you get on us about talking like that.
I had to joke about it. Come on. Oh, my goodness. But we also got to see some of the other characters, even for just a little bit. We got to see the Shadow Crow and his ability, which is like these big, like literal shadow hands coming out and slapping enemies down. We also got to see, well, I've come to call him the kangaroo guy, because that seems to be his only real power is the fact that he seems to be able to jump high and has this huge tail.
Well, but he uses his tail prehensily, so he's not kangaroo. Kangaroos can't do that with their tails.
Australians fear him.
It's just really interesting to see, even just for like a little second, just to see these characters and use their power. And I'm really excited to see more of that, just to see what they're capable of, like what are some of their weaknesses, their strengths, and how they can use their powers more creatively.
Mm-hmm.
Because I actually did get spoiled on one character's power. I'm not going to say it here because he hasn't been really properly introduced in the show yet. We've seen him. He just hasn't had a speaking line or any focus on his powers. Mm-hmm. But I have been exposed to what his power is. And I'm like, I am really curious to see how this character's power is really implemented into the show.
Mm-hmm.
Now you got me curious.
Do you want me? I'm
pretty sure I know which one you're referring to because it's the only character amongst the classmates that has not spoken at all.
Mm. So yeah, okay, I'll say who he is. I will in terms of like description.
He's the one that was with Mr. Birdbeak.
Yeah, he's the guy with Mr. Shadow Shadowbird.
Mountainhead.
Yeah, we'll call him that because he hasn't had his name properly introduced in the show yet. Yeah. I won't say his power because I don't want Kitty to be spoiled. I got spoiled because a friend of mine talked to me about the show and told me what his power was. Like, damn, I didn't want him to know that. He's like, crap, sorry. But I know what his power is, and it makes me really curious on how they're going to use that because that feels like a very one-way power. But I will say something that reminds me, and something that I actually meant to mention in the last episode that I didn't, was the fact that we have not only powers that are not related to a character's looks, like our Shadowbird and Mountainhead, their powers have nothing to do with the way they look. That's just the way they look. It's like, I'm not sure if they're like born that way, but that's just the way they are. And then we had a character who was fighting against a Razorhead in the previous episode who literally said, I'm like I forget what the term he used was, like I was part of something tribe.
A heteromorph, I believe.
Yeah, a heteromorph. And from what I understood, I think that essentially means is like, unlike a lot of other people's powers who are something they can activate or something that is like, something what they can do, his power is innate. His power is like, it's not something I can turn off or turn on. It's just something that
balls are inert.
Oh God, really? It's just something that what he is. So because of that, that's what his power can do. He's like, I'm super strong no matter what. And we actually see this with Nomu, is the fact that Eraserhead tries to stop Nomu's power. It's like, nope, it doesn't matter. I'm super strong regardless of my quirks. Though, considering the fact that Nomu is engineered, it's like he's actually genetically engineered to be like that. I'm not too surprised.
Mm-hmm.
But the entire episode, after all this fighting, ends with All Might coming onto the picture.
And he is pissed.
Yes.
He was not smiling.
Which is the first time we've ever seen that in this show. He is like gritting his teeth and has the most shadows we've seen on his face in the entire series on it. Is like, he is not a happy camper.
Well, considering they're threatening the kids, these are students.
Yeah, it's like, I am not going to let you hurt the children.
Mm-hmm.
And it just makes me really excited for what's going to come up. Especially considering the fact this is what the villains wanted. They wanted All Might here to begin with. And All Might's already getting close to his, full time limit here. So
mm-hmm.
It's really interesting to see what's going to happen, what they're going to do. I'm excited. I know you're excited, despite the lack of excitement in your voice.
I have no strong feelings one way or the other.
I think that's pretty much it for this episode, unless you guys can think of something else to mention.
No.
I
just about got it.
Froppy blue screening.
The blue screen of Froppy. Mostly because Mr. Ballhead decided to grope her.
Mm-hmm. And then the casual drowning.
Yeah, the casual drowning afterward. That said, I am actually worried about 2 characters. I'm worried about Eraserhead. I'm worried about 13.
Yeah.
Because we got to see the fact that 13, like believe it or not, like I pointed out in the last episode of our reviews series here, 13 is a rescue hero. She's not used to combat, and Nega Grillby took that to his advantage. He actually made another warp gate behind her to where she hurt herself versus hurting him.
Mm-hmm.
And then Nomu has broken both of Eraserhead's arm and smashed his face literally into the ground. It's like, I am surprised the man is still alive.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, let's see how things work out in the next one.
Yeah, I'm worried about both those characters though. And then I think the last thing I'll mention, just a minor complaint so far. I think it's more because there's so many characters to balance than any real lack of use otherwise. Actually, scratch that. I will say, I was going to say, I was kind of upset about the lack of our Gravity Girl and our little Acid Girl not really using their powers and they're kind of like off on the side, just kind of huddling. But then I remembered,
yeah, she helped stop Nega Grillby from getting Ida from leaving the place. So.
Yeah, no, and here's the cool thing is the fact that you see the other characters are kind of thinking like Deku. It's like she noticed the fact that Nega Grillby has this metal brace in his body. And it's like, that has to be something connected to his actual physical form. It's like he has to have something physical there. And because of she, making it light as a feather, they were able to throw it away and allow Ida to escape. But I still kind of feel like she and some of these other characters, like I said, it could be just the fact that we have the entire class, all these villains, and then the other pros to balance.
Yeah, this was a very character-heavy episode.
Yeah, to where I can understand, it's like you kind of need just a character to sit in the background and go, oh crap, what do I do? But I just feel like, especially with some of their powers, they can be used a little bit better. But this is also the first season, so that could also explain it. I don't know. This is also something that people will see if they've read any of my stories that I've written. If I introduce a lot of characters, I try my absolute best to use as many as possible. It's like I try to make sure everyone gets at least one word in, sometimes to my detriment, but it's like I feel if I'm going to be introducing a lot of these characters, I have to use them. Mm-hmm. And I feel like this show has done better than I think most has.
Yeah, it's like Chekhov's gun. If you're going to show, make sure it gets used.
Exactly. So I think this show has done a little bit better than I've seen most shows do it, but it's still like, I want them to do a little bit more. Just give them a little bit more, please. Anyway, other than that, I think we need to just go straight and see All Might kick some ass. What do you guys think?
Yep. Absolutely.
All right. Well, in that case, with all that said, folks, we're going to go ahead and watch the next episode. Until then, stay frosty.
Take care, everybody.
But I want to be toasty. Goodbye, everyone.
Good Lord. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's your ever-friendly Pokeprof, and I wanted to thank you for watching yet another episode of Getting With The Program. If you got any suggestions on how to make the show better, or you're just wanting to say hi, leave a comment below. If you also like and subscribe, that will definitely help us out on the channel. Also, be sure to check out the upcoming episode of Fascinating Fiction, a solo series in which I'm wanting to do a little bit more scripted content. You can also follow both me and Kitty, and I believe also Sky as well, on social media, mostly Twitter, and as well as when we stream on Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays over on Twitch, where we mostly just play games that I've never played before and goof around. Hope to see you guys there, but until then, stay frosty.